Farming in Hytale looks slow and pointless at first, but if you do it right, it becomes one of the most overpowered systems in the game. So in this guide, I'll show you how to snowball your crops to farm Essence of Life, build a self-watering farm, unlock eternal crops, and get access to some of the best food buffs in Hytale, which will make your character so much stronger. And near the end, I'll also show you the exact crops and biomes that you need to visit to upgrade your farmer's workbench all the way to tier 8 so you can unlock everything and not get stuck wondering how to progress. Everything's timestamped below. So you can start farming by creating the farmer's workbench at the crafting station with some wood and fiber. Now you can craft a hoe, which is used for preparing the soil for seeds. But to craft the wheat and cabbage seeds, you'll notice that you'll need Essence of Life. You can obtain Essence of Life by harvesting most crops in the game, many of which exist throughout the wilderness. Like in the starting zone, in the grassy plain biome, you'll often find a few wheat plants just scattered around. Each one is going to yield 2 Essence of Life as well as the wheat itself. In the autumn tree biome, you can also find some corn plants, but mushrooms won't give you any Essence of Life. Berry bushes, on the other hand, will give you Essence of Life, but the chance is way lower. Finally though, the best location to actually get kick-started is by robbing the Quebec settlements. You can find Quebec bases on the map in the starting region, represented by these muddy areas with dark green, moldy colored trees, surrounded by a circle of rocks. You can see 2 on the map pretty close to each other here, and sure enough, there's 2 Quebec bases at this location. So once you arrive, you'll find that they have a bunch of carrots, cabbages, cotton, and many other vegetables you can harvest. And that's all going to give you Essence of Life. Just make sure you don't harm their rabbits because they'll start attacking you if you do. So now you have that Essence of Life, you can now start a farm by crafting wheat and lettuce seeds at the farmer's workbench. Then you'll need to hoe the ground and start planting them. And the more you plant, the faster you'll get Essence of Life. Now plants will grow without water, but if you want them to grow faster, you'll need to craft a watering can with free iron. If you don't know where to get iron, check out my other starter guide linked below in the description. You can fill up a watering can repeatedly at the river or any block of water an unlimited amount of times without the water disappearing. And then you can use that to water your crops. However, there has now been a new update that makes having channels of water in your field of crops automatically wet the soil next to it. The soil needs to be hoed and have seeds planted already, and then it will automatically get wet from the neighboring water. And that means that the most efficient way to organize your crops is like this. So as you can see, this is my farm layout, and every single line of crops is touching a line of water. Now you will need to craft a bucket at the farmer's workbench and carry over the water to your farm to actually put it in the hole, but this is way faster than manually watering the soil each day in the long run. It basically means you can just leave the farm and it will grow itself. In fact, you can make crops grow even faster with fertilizer, but we'll look at that once we unlock it. Now we just need to wait for our wheat and lettuce to grow, and then we can harvest it for both the crop and the Essence of Life. And don't worry, we will use all of that wheat later on to make flour. But for now, we can make vegetable skewers because wheat counts as a vegetable. And these skewers are going to boost your health and stamina regeneration to tier 2, which makes your character stronger. But now we're ready for stage 2 of farming. So we're going to upgrade our farmer's workbench using 50 Essence of Life, 5 wheat, lettuce, and some logs. This will unlock the ability to craft eternal wheat. Now, eternal seeds basically will grow, and then you can harvest them repeatedly without you ever having to replant new seeds again. But they cost 20 essence and 10 wheat each. But obviously they're going to create an unlimited source of crops, so it's definitely worth investing in them early on. I like to have a few eternal seeds for each crop type, especially wheat, which you're going to use a lot of later in the game. And just so you know, sometimes the ground under eternal seeds will need to be re-hoed so it can continue to grow quickly, so make sure you keep an eye on that. For now though, you'll also want to grow 10 carrots and corn. These are needed to upgrade your farmer's workbench from tier 2 to tier 3. We're also going to need 10 lightwood trunks, which you can find in the woodlands in the starting regions biome. In this area, you'll find lightwood birch trees, which you can cut down for light wood. But we'll also need one greater essence of life, which you can actually craft at the workbench by just combining together 100 essence. Tier 3 to 4 is going to need turnips, cauliflower, and hardwood. And you'll find hardwood in the darker wood biome from oak, ash, and fir trees. And as you unlock these higher tier plants, you'll find that they do actually cost more to craft, but they actually give you more essence when you harvest them. So to upgrade from tier 4 to 5, you need pumpkins and aubergines. But you also need hardwood, which you can find in the red autumn biome in the first zone. It's the red-leaved maple tree, and that's going to get you the hardwood maple logs. From tier 5 to 6, you'll need to grow tomatoes and chilies. And then you'll also need darkwood. To get darkwood in Hytale, you're going to want to go to the third zone of the icy mountain region, which is always going to be north of the starting region. And it looks like this on the map with the white snow and ice. Once you're in this region, you can find another forest sub-biome, which is composed of dark green and blue trees in this muddy area of the map. That's what you're looking for. But this area actually has a selection of different tree types, and we're specifically looking for a tree with the bright blue-green leaves. This is the cedar tree that's going to give us the cedar logs, which is a type of darkwood. And the cool thing is that once you upgrade your farming bench to tier 6, you'll then be able to craft cedar saplings. And once grown, you can then farm more darkwood by chopping down those trees without having to walk all the way back to the third region. From tier 6 to 7, we can then craft cotton and rice. However, we will need drywood logs. You can find drywood logs in Hytale by traveling to the second region of the desert. The desert is always located in the very south of the starting region, just here on the map. Once you arrive in the desert, you'll be able to find the savanna area, which has a muddy kind of greeny color. Once you arrive at this area, you'll find dry trees, which obviously give you the drywood logs. And then if you upgrade your farmer's workbench from tier 6 to 7, you'll now be able to craft drywood saplings for an unlimited supply of the drywood logs in any biome that you need them. But to get from tier 7 to 8, we'll need to grow potatoes and onions, and then, my goodness, we need to find golden wood logs. Golden wood logs are hard to find in Hytale, and you will need them to upgrade your farmer's workbench from tier 7 to 8. But don't worry, you can get an unlimited supply later. First, you'll need to travel to the Volcano Island biome, which are normally located in the middle of lakes. Either to the east or west of the starting region, you'll normally find some. And once you find these volcano islands, and they do vary in size, you'll need to specifically look for this type of muddy yellow biome with brown veins running through it called the cinder wastes. It's here that you're going to find a few yellow spots, and these are actually the trees we're looking for, but my god, they are not common. But don't worry, you only need to find one of them, and once you arrive, you'll see the tree that looks like this, with the mossy leaves compared to the dead trees that you'll find elsewhere in this area. Just make sure that you cut down the whole tree. And now you've upgraded your farmer's workbench to tier 8, you're going to want to craft palm saplings. These will give you an unlimited source of golden wood going forward. But to upgrade beyond tier 8, you're going to need to start collecting petals, which are scattered all over the world. And you can check out my other guide linked below on how to get those. But first, you're going to need some food, and one of the best foods in Hytale you can craft early is the pie. Beyond healing you for 15%, it gives you a tier 3 boost to stamina and health. Specifically, the apple pie is very easy to craft, so you can make tons of it. But you'll need to unlock the apple recipe by buying it from the Quebec village, which looks like this on the map. Dark green trees surrounded by stones in the first zone. Talk to the Quebec trader here, and then you'll be able to trade essence for the apple pie recipe. And the Quebec village specifically will reset what it has for sale every 3 days at the bottom. And you can check how long it is until the next reset at the bottom here. But once you buy it, you can then learn it from your inventory. You can also find a meat pie and a pumpkin pie. But the apple pie can be crafted at the chef's stove. The first thing you'll need to get is apples. And you can get unlimited apples by crafting apple saplings at the farmer's workbench using essence. The apple tree takes 5 days to grow, and then every 12 hours it's going to give you another 8 apples just on repeat. And you can harvest that same tree again and again and again for a constant supply of them. But next you're going to need some spices, which can be crafted at the stove with any vegetable, like wheat, and also flowers, which grow all over the Emerald Plains starting region. You just need to go ahead and harvest them. Then you're going to need some dough. Now you can craft dough with water, eggs, and flour. The flour can be crafted with 10 wheat, and then the eggs can be harvested from a chicken's coop. To build a chicken's coop, you're going to want to build a fence around the coop itself, and then craft some capture crates at the farmer's workbench, which can be used to capture chickens, which are normally found in the open fields of the starting region. Put the chickens in the pen and they will produce 1 egg each every day, which you can then collect from the chicken coop. Just make sure that you keep 2 blocks distance away from the chicken coop and the fence, otherwise each morning those chickens can spawn outside of the fence. Also, make sure you don't put any blocks near the fence or as part of the fence, otherwise the animals will actually be able to climb over them. And then obviously the water can be harvested from a lake with a bucket. And now you can craft the dough and make yourself that apple pie. Now larger animals like sheep, pigs, and cows also produce a lot of poop, which you can pick up, and with 10 poop and some vegetables you can make fertilizer at the farming station, which will then make your crops grow twice as fast. 1 bag will fertilize 5 blocks of soil, and the fertilizer will last through multiple harvests once applied to the soil. But for a full guide on getting your animal farm up and running, check out my other video guide linked below.